All right, doing this thing. I love travel and I love my fam, but I couldn't quite figure out how to combine both of these things outside of the little onesie twosie week vacations that we normally plan throughout the year. But if you Google or search on YouTube for inspiration, the only other alternative that you find are families who quit their jobs, uproot their lives, and become full-time traveling families. Well, that is not our story. We have zero interest in doing that. What we are interested in is finding a way to spend more time in a destination, as opposed to rushing from place to place to see as many things as possible, or spending yet another week at a resort only to stay on the property the whole time. So I wanted to figure out, how can we travel in a way where we're getting to know the culture, taking time to enjoy our surroundings, and even having enough time to find our favorite local coffee shop. So this apparently exists, and there's a term for it. It's called slow travel. And it's often contrasted with checklist travel, which involves going down a list, checking off all the boxes of places and things that you want to see without ever fully experiencing any of them. Now, there is nothing wrong with checklist travel. This, I think, is how most people vacation, us included, usually driven by wanting to maximize the short amount of time that they have. But I'm tired. And honestly, I kind of think most of the hard things that people associate when they think about traveling with kids comes from the dynamic of checklist travel. That's just the nature of it. There's not enough time to do all of the things that you want, and there's always way too much gear, way too many variables, way too many big feelings. I want to share the reasons how we're changing up the way we travel as a family this year by incorporating more of the slow travel experience. And I am documenting this process. So the first time we did this was back in 2018. We were moving from New York City to LA, and we made Barcelona our home base. In that time in between moving out of New York and having to be out in California, I get asked about that experience a lot. So by documenting the planning process this time around, hopefully we'll give those who are curious about this more access to the details that I will undoubtedly forget later on. Another reason is for my own personal record. I view this planning as a project that I am managing, and because there's a lot of logistics involved, I like the idea of being able to go back and reference my approach when planning certain aspects of this experience, what I liked about it, what I would do differently for next time. Finally, people say traveling with kids is so hard, or being away for that long is so hard. Yes, it's all hard, but in the words of Glennon Doyle, you can do hard things. And by documenting this planning process, maybe it will break things down into small, digestible steps for anyone who is curious and maybe wants to do something similar for themselves. So I want to share the reasons how we're changing up the way we travel this year as a family of 4, and 4 things that you probably want to address before you start researching or planning a slow travel experience of your own. Number 1, the big why. Why do you want to incorporate slow travel into your life? So by definition, slow travel is a style of travel that emphasizes spending more time in a single destination, as opposed to rushing from place to place to see as many things as possible. It's more about immersing yourself, getting to know the local culture, and really taking your time to enjoy your surroundings. So before you jump into all the planning, I think it makes sense to first ask yourself, why do I want to do slow travel? Better yet, what is it about checklist travel that you're kind of over? I want to incorporate slow travel into our lives this year for a number of reasons. We are aiming to do this over the summer when the kids are out of school. And I gotta tell you that our summers are pretty vanilla. They are the chicken breast of summers. Our kids have their activities, or they're in camps, and we'll usually pad that on the weekends with going to the beach or play dates. It's kind of the same routine every week. So I'm always looking for ways where we can spice things up, add some seasoning, and finding new ways where we can make our summers more flavorful, more memorable. Traveling is kind of low-hanging fruit. So if we have the space and capacity to travel during the summer, how can we really optimize that time that we have? Something I've gotten asked before is, why not wait until the kids are older older, why are you doing this now when they won't be able to remember anything? They might not remember this, but John and I will, and that's why we're doing it. It's because we want to. Also, my kids love seeing photos or watching videos of themselves, and that in itself has been super effective in helping to create any memories they have around these experiences. It's also had a really positive impact in helping to shape the way they view themselves. When they watch videos of themselves being confident or doing brave or adventurous things, even if they don't physically remember doing those things, we've noticed that having them see themselves embody these qualities only reinforces that these qualities are a part of them and that they have it in them to be these things in any other scenario that they're in life. Number 2, shift your mindset. This is not a vacation. So first, let's define vacation versus relocation. I have zero interest in staying in a hotel for 8 weeks with no access to a kitchen or a living room. So in order to plan travel that's non-vacation travel, you do need to map out the parallels between your current lifestyle at home and how you would replicate that in a new city. For example, if we were to stay at home in the summer because they're out of school, our kids would be enrolled in like a summer day camp where they're playing with or making new friends, doing fun activities, playing games, making crafts, doing sports. I don't really see why that has to change just because we're in a different city. And not for anything, I only really see the benefits of enrolling your kids in a camp abroad and having them be around other kids, learning new skills, staying active, letting them create their own experiences instead of just staying in the house rental all day or having a single caretaker like a babysitter or a nanny take them around while we work. Number 3, what are you missing out on by not staying at home? Yes, of course, we'll miss our friends and going out to dinners and the brunches, but we also only have a handful of summers where our kids will want to do this with us before sports or other social commitments start filling their calendars and therefore ours. Also, I know I'm not the only one who remembers only wanting to hang out with their friends during the summertime. Like, you could not pay me to go on vacation with my family because that would mean taking me away from my friends, which is ironic because as soon as I graduated college, I remember practically begging my parents to include us in their travels again and for us to make their travels family vacations. Sadly, I know that day will come for us too. So I want to soak up every chance we get and every summer that we get with the versions of my kids that actually want to spend time with us. Number 4, if this is something that you really want to do, but you're still feeling resistance around it, find your expanders. So expanders is a term that I learned from Lacey Phillips from To Be a Magnetic, and they're really anyone who has created or achieved something that you desire to have or create in life. It's almost like they're modeling it for you. And this basically shows us that it is possible to have or achieve those things too, therefore expanding what we know to be true about that thing. So like without expanders, you only know what you know, right? So if you love traveling and it's something that you wish you could do more of with your family, but you're not quite sure about how that would work, find people who are doing something similar to show you that it's possible. It might not be in the same exact capacity that you're envisioning it to be, but just knowing that it's possible at all will expand you and open you up to being more creative to fill in the rest of those details so that you can create the version that you need it to be. I will give you 2 examples of my expanders for this. When I worked at Ralph Lauren, my boss would take the month of August off every single year to go to Tuscany and spend the whole month there with his family. Now, this was way before COVID, where taking more than a week off at a time for vacation was very unheard of and was very much looked down upon. And he really modeled this healthy way of taking time off and spending that with your family in a way that made sense for them. And then the second example is there is this woman that works in my daughter's school. She is so lovely. So her husband is European. I think his family is Swiss. But every summer they go to Switzerland, stay with his family and his extended family. Her son is now in high school, and he has this very unique experience that's been a part of his life and has shaped the way he views the world and has shaped the way he experiences life. I think that's really cool to hear about a high schooler have that perspective that's bigger than, I think back to when I was in high school and I thought that life was just everything that was in my little bubble. I don't think I could even comprehend that there was such a bigger world out there. Like, yes, we traveled a lot with my family, but again, when you're vacationing, I think it's different. There's still kind of that barrier between you and the experiences, the destinations that you're in and the cultures that you're experiencing. So without these expanders, I would have never gotten the idea of traveling with my family for more than a week at a time. And here we are planning to do that again and again and again. Okay, so there you have it. I hope that was helpful, and I will share more about the planning process and how I'm approaching everything. So if slow travel is something that you also want to be doing as a family, I hope you follow along and see how I'm planning this trip. Talk to you later.